Righty then. Alrighty then. So, from New York City. This will be an interesting one. I've not done one for a few weeks, and there's a couple of you on the thing there. We got Clarissa, who is driving through the Bronx. We got Mike in the UK, and we've got a bunch of people watching right now as well. So the purpose of this call, I've not done one for a few weeks, but the purpose of this call, there's a few people trying to get on, so I'm slightly distracted here. Let me just find out, and I'm also stalling, so I can't remember what the purpose of the call is. Ah, there we go. So the purpose of this call is how to build a massive corporate sales team. So, irregardless of what we're doing, I've just been looking at a message I got there, because one of my goals was to be on this Richard Branson galactic space flight thing he's doing, and I just messaged saying one of the test flights has crashed. So, some people would call the guy an idiot for trying to do something that's not possible, but they said that when airplanes started in the first place. And Richard Branson is a guy that doesn't believe the sky's the limit. He believes in going beyond that. So the challenge he's got is he's in untested waters, and that's what we're looking at here to a degree, is untested waters. What do I mean by that? Well, Branson's trying to go take an airplane, a passenger plane, to the moon, pretty much. Not to land, but somewhere up there. It's $250,000 a ticket, and there's a waiting list. So to do that and to have all those super wealthy people on there, it's got to be pretty solid, and the test flights and all the rest of it got to be tested. But he's in unknown territory. So was there ever going to be accidents? Well, there was always that liability, and I think he's a pragmatic enough guy to understand that accidents are simply, unfortunately, I don't know if anyone's lost their life in it, but accidents are simply a part of the experience of life. Now, they're not always as drastic as going to the moon, going to space, but they're still accidents nonetheless. So what we're doing here, and the purpose of this call, is the whole purpose is, just mute yourselves if you're on the line, guys. Mute yourselves. The purpose of this call is, you got it? You got the mute there, Jeanette?
Yeah, I don't know how that works. Hold on 1 second.
Top of the screen.
This is on the phone. Sorry.
On the phone. All right, I'll mute you.
Thanks.
There you go. So the purpose of this call is, we spoke about Richard Branson going beyond. So I'm going to go beyond anything I've done before in the past. Now, I know, Mike, you've worked with me before, and Clarissa, you've worked with me before, and I got to be honest, my best year in building teams, in corporate sales teams, was probably a couple of $1 million. I was in my 20s. I do know guys that are doing a lot more than that. I know guys that I've trained, that I've interviewed, that I've trained, hired, trained, the whole thing. And I know there's a whole bunch of guys out there sort of pulling in 4 or 5 million a year by building corporate sales teams. So my experience, and I'm kind of going to go back to front on this one a little bit. What I'm talking about now is building a corporate sales team. This is not a multi-level thing. This is not a network marketing thing. So this is strictly building a corporate sales business. So, hang on a second, just give me 1 second, guys. Let me get I can't even do this. If I flip out of it, I'll flip back in it. Just give me a second. I'm going to try and find a YouTube link here, because someone's asking for one. I didn't put it up there. That one. There. So for a guy with absolutely no tech experience at all, I'm kind of botching this together. There we go. That one. There we go. That should do it. So I'm back. Oh, all of a sudden the viewers have just quadrupled by throwing a YouTube link on there. Right. So I'm at this point now where I'm going to Just mute yourself, John. Can you?
Right.
I'm going to do a Richard Branson, and you guys are welcome to join me. What do I mean by that? I've crunched the numbers here. I know what's going on, and I know my capabilities. And I know my capabilities not as much as what I can do as what I can help you guys do, because it's all interwoven. And I'm not, for legal reasons, I'm not naming a company or anything like that. In case I say something wrong, there's no company name involved. So the situation is this. I gave a figure there of how 3 hours daily building a corporate sales team will bring you in 1.5 million per month consistently, month after month after month after month as a residual income. So just to clarify a few things, residual income applies to certain people and certain businesses. Life insurance agents have residual income programs based on monthly payments of their clients over the course of their life. There's a few other businesses that are like that, not many. So when I was when I built a corporate sales team, and it was in a completely different industry, and I will go through a step-by-step process of how I went about this. When I built that, even though it was a couple of million a year, people were actually having to go out next week and go and get more clients because there was no residual income based on it. It was always about what happened that week. And consequently, to keep that going, we had to keep recruiting and keep training week in, week out, week in, week out, week in, week out. And this is how we had 100,000 people through our doors, week in, week out, week in, week out, just repeating the process. Ads in the paper, people handling calls coming in, booking interviews in, and there's always a drop-off. So if you get 1,000 calls, you're booking 800, 400 will show, 200 will sort of pass the grade. Out the 200, maybe 100 will show up for the training the next week. Out the 100, second day of training will halve to 50. And out of the 50, at the end of that week, you might be left with 1 or 2 people. Because it was those things were out there knocking on doors. Let's face it, they're a tough gig. Clarissa, I know you've done it. And Mike, I know you've done it, and I've certainly done it. And when you're learning, there's a huge drop-off. Because, it could be the weather, it could be the transportation, it could be anything. And people would drop off. So there's always that massive churn rate. And, it's a very time-intensive process to build something like that. But we did it anyway. So where we're at now, and where I'm getting my figures from, and why I'm so confident about this, and I think I put on that title, this could all be BS. It might not be 1.5 million a month. It might be half that. I mean, so? Okay. But I don't think anyone would class themselves as a failure at something if they hit half that. But the numbers I base this on are low numbers based upon what I've done in the past. So we'll take Clarissa in Wall Street. We always had about 30 or 40 people. You don't have to answer that, but it's always about that. Mike, can you remember when the office in Manchester was busy, how many people were in it?
About the same, really, 30 to 40.
Yeah, it seems to be. It seems to be that doesn't matter where it is. It's almost as though it's a block with anyone I've trained, because we always had about 30 or 40 people. We got up to that quick, and it always seemed to peak at that. And this is about mindset. So the mindset challenge we've got here, is when I start talking to people about $1.5 million a month income, it's beyond most people's mindset. So either the guy's full of crap, it's nonsense, there's something wrong with it, which is the normal mindset of that, because most people cannot comprehend that. But when you break something down and you've got the figures, and I base it on existing figures and lowball them and halve them. So in a city like Greater Manchester, about 2.5 million. The catchment area of Wall Street, it was an odd one. There's 40 million people live in New York City. However, there was various other factors. They had to be background checked here, and Also, even those 40 million people, our target market was nowhere near the office. So you'd have people commuting an hour and a half to get to work. So, you know, it doesn't matter where these things work. I always manage to consistently keep a business going very fast of about 40 people. Hamilton, Ontario, 40 people. Hamilton has about 300,000 people in it. It really doesn't matter. You know, there's other places, Toronto, Ontario, 3.5 million people, still about 40 people in the office. So it really doesn't make a difference. So I worked some figures out here. And the program we've got now is a two-stage program. So I'm just going to go back to front. The second stage of our program is, if you as an individual, so the point of this call is about recruiting. It's not about selling, it's about recruiting. If you as an individual can recruit 20 people per US state. Now I'm telling you face to face, I've consistently kept 40 people in an office, and that 40 people have a nucleus of about 20%, and the rest is consistently spinning over. And one of the reasons is the work they do this week, they get paid on next week or in 2 weeks, whatever the payroll was, but they're still going out to do it, and they're not building anything, whereas this is building longevity. So someone like yourself, Mike, that even in the first couple of weeks picked up a client that's worth, I don't know the figures, I think someone told me it was 4,000 or 6,000 a month, whatever it is, you know that money's in the pot. Whatever the figure was, you know, it doesn't really, you know, it's just one of many. You know that figure's in the pot, and that's building up forever and a day. So when that's happening, the attrition rate, not just of clients, but of people working in the business, knowing as long as they work, they've still got, you know, it's like going to work every month knowing you've already got 20,000 coming in for the month, and anything you add on to that is just bonus. And up and up and up and on and on and on it goes. So I'm speaking about Toronto, Ontario. We had an office there. Over 5 years, we had 100,000 people come through the office for interviews in a city of 3 million. So one person out of every 30 in that city came through our office for an interview, which kind of gets a little bit embarrassing when you're walking down the street and everyone knows who you are and you can't remember anyone's name. You know, there's still that nucleus of people, and from that office, that literally was the seed of oak trees all over the country. That business ended up turning into something worth about 3 billion on the stock market, and made, I don't know, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 people multi-millionaires out of just coming in random. And we only ever recruited one way: add in the paper, book them in, come in, interview through. It didn't matter if you had 20 degrees or you were a dropout. Everything was exactly the same. Everyone got the same thing, and everyone was on commission only. So that's what happened. Now the challenge we have is that my phone's flashing all over the place here of people trying to get on, and I can't understand why they can't get on. So just give me 1 second, guys. Just give me 1 second. YouTube live now. I hate stopping while I'm in the flow, but you know, people are trying to. There we go. Let's get back to this. So I'm talking about you can dump me anywhere, literally in the world, and I can fill an office up in a month, and there'll be a churn rate because people are working for whatever they're getting next week. When that's gone, they've got to go out and do it all again. Whereas what we're talking about here is residual income. Now, if I said to you, what I need you to do to hit these targets is do exactly what I did, 40 people per city. I don't know how many cities there are in the States, because it's a US market business. There's hundreds. It's doable, but that's a massive, massive task. So the figures I've worked out are 20 people per state each. So if I look at somewhere like New York City, I know on the phase 2, which is a commercial face-to-face basis, meaning You actually have guys out walking in and out of businesses. They'd be walking in New York City, but anywhere else they'd be driving in and out of businesses. Doesn't matter what the business is, with what we're offering, and the market is huge. It's pretty much a no-brainer. From the testing I've done, it's pretty much a no-brainer. So you are looking for, as an individual, 20 people per state. Now, two of you guys are in the UK. Jeanette's in Baltimore. Clarissa is in Massachusetts. And there's people all over the world watching this right now. So how on earth am I going to recruit 20 people in Southern California when I'm in New York City, or in Alabama, which I'm, you know, south of here somewhere, or in Alaska, or in Hawaii? Well, these days with tools that we have, whether it's social media, Craigslist, and there's a whole bunch of others I don't even understand. I know, John, you're a great research guy, and Mike, you're good with the IT. Well, all you guys are better than me. I haven't got a clue with this stuff. Darren knows how to do he puts one test ad on Craigslist and gets 20 people in off it. That's one ad. So how are you, as an individual, going to get 20 people per state? Well, this is fairly simple. We're going to feed it. We're going to start this one going in New York City. Why? I just so happen to be here. What does that have to do with you? Well, you put the ads in, you do the stuff, you do the follow-ups. Literally, the ad is structured so they call you for an interview, show you how to interview, and all you're doing is not explaining anything. You're just getting them in a room, wherever I may be. So I might have the back room down there, or in a restaurant, or I might have a place upstairs in a little meeting room. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to stand in front of these people, explain what we do, show what we do. I will tell you right now, my batting average on this stuff is pretty good live. We had one business where it was a water filter business. The filter was $1,500, and I'm going back to the 1980s, late 1980s. The filter was $1,500. People found out they could actually buy it from the States for $300. Our first meeting, we got people into the meeting. Our first meeting, 3 people showed up, 2 of them bought the filter. Within about a month or so, at $1,500, we were doing our best day was $1 million worth of business out of a little office in Toronto. So I know if you guys can focus on filling these rooms, I will get these guys in for you. Now, what does this mean to you, dollar-wise? These guys who are working the sidewalks, we'll call it that are going to businesses, looking like any business will do, but preferably over about 25 people. They get one client, one business per week at 25 people, and you build 20 people in each state. So from New York, I might just let you guys know right next week. I'm in New Jersey next week. I'm going to be in Newark. Oh, you know what? I even felt bad saying that. I'm going to be in Newark. It's not a place you want to go, but hey, doesn't matter. Right, fill out a room. Well, I've got 5 nights in a room in Newark. Sort your ads out. Here's your ads. Here's how you do it. And it'll be slightly different ads for slightly different targets. So if there's 5 of you on the panel now, or 4 of you on the panel. So, for example, New York City, one of you could put the same ad in for Brooklyn, for Bronx, for Staten Island, for Queens, for Manhattan, for Harlem, for downtown, for uptown. So you can have the same ad, but on Craigslist, it's got a slightly different demographic. Then all of a sudden, boom, we've got 100 people in a room. I stand up there, I work my stuff. They're logged into you, not to me. So 20 people per state, and we'll just say 50 states for ease of math. There's 51? I don't know, something like that. 51 or 52 or 50? 52. Oh yeah, Hawaii and Alaska are the odd ones. Definitely Hawaii. I need to be in at least 3 months worth of meetings in Hawaii, guys. So we got to do that one just because. Let's work it at 50 states. So 20 people in 50 states is 1,000 people. So you've got 1,000 guys out every single day going in and out of businesses. Okay, is that conceivable? Yeah. Even if there's 100 of you, it's conceivable. But there isn't 100 of you guys. Okay. That's 1,000 people out per day. Now, I spoke about targeting businesses with 25 plus employees. So let's say they only get one business per week. I mean, this is a no-brainer. You should be getting 3 or 4 a day. But one business per week and minimum 25 employees, that would pay you at $1 per deal override, 1.25 million per month. I'm looking at your faces there. I'll do this, I'll break the math down. You can do it how you want. So you've got one person getting one client with 25 employees. So that pays you $25. Yeah? You've got 20 in that state. So $25 times 20 is $500. You've got 50 states. Do the math. Have I got it right or have I got it wrong? I think I may even have it wrong slightly, but it's there or thereabouts. 25 times 50 is 1250. 25 deals, 50 states times 20 people is 1250. Yeah, which per month. And you know, it's not going to work exactly like that, because you're going to get some people that will just trip over a business that's got 200 employees, and you might have someone that gets a dry week one week, or you might indeed have someone in that 20 that all of a sudden has got 10,000 a month coming in and takes his foot off, or her foot off the gas and goes, right, you know what, I'm not going to work, I've had enough, but I've still got my money coming in. So there's that side of it. And I can make these numbers say what you want, but I'm being very realistic here. 20 people per state. How doable is that? I put 5 people into that position, into a training position, in the last 4 days. I'm talking about, that's without an ad. That's just inbound on Facebook. No, I've not put a single ad out there. Darren put an ad out there, something like 20-something inquiries. He's put 43 people onto this program in a month. So, you know, this is going to roll out in a week or two. We're already on it. We're already testing it. We're already doing a few things with it. And I could be slightly wrong with the numbers, and it doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, who gives a crap if it's 700,000 a month, 2 million a month? Like, you know, it's fine. It's plenty. Okay. The other side of that is what you guys are already doing now. What you guys are doing now, except on the recruiting side. So that is phase 2. That's talking about guys out physically going out picking up clients. Now, I know, Mike, I don't know if you did commercial utility. I don't think you did, Clarissa. But guys do that all the time, and that market is dead. So there's already a market of people looking for it, looking for work. Now, from the other side of that, from what you guys are doing now, I know, Mike, you're having some success with this, and I know the rest of you are new at it, but also getting great feedback and great results coming through. It is a process, obviously. And over the last 3 weeks, it's shifted now where the quality that you guys are providing is a lot better. Can you hire 250 people to do what you're doing? That's 5 per week, just to make the phone calls. Can you do that? Yeah, you can do that. It's an opportunity. They can They can get started. 5 people a week to 250 people a year that are targeting group health insurance brokers. So that's 250 people a year on phase 1 that you can build, and I'm going to explain how to build a business. Phase 1, if they all get one client of 1,000 units a month, I know your first one was way more than that, Mike, but if they get one client of 1,000 units a month, that's another 250,000 a month. So the two combined, 1.25 million and 250,000 a month, is 1.5 million a month. It's not going to break down exactly like that. You might be slightly heavier on the side where there's people out going to businesses, or you could be on the other side, and you'll find your own level with that, and it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It makes no difference. You might find that you've got 100 people in New Jersey and you've got 3 people in Alabama. Doesn't matter. It's not an exact figure. It's just a level figure. In some states that are more populous, for example, New Jersey, you probably will end up with more. In some places that are a little, less populated, you might find a little less. But if you just average it out, if I can get 40 people in every single city with huge attrition and keep topping it up, with no residual income, there's no doubt at all 20 people per state, no doubt whatsoever. I'll do that without even trying to do it. Without putting an ad in, I'll trip across that just on my travels. So next year I'm on the road, which means, you know, I'm traveling around. You might find it's a little heavy towards the south at the beginning of the year because the sun's out down there. So if I'm going to go on the road for you guys, I'm going to do it where the sun is shining. It's just like, deal with it, okay? I am not going to Alaska in January to build a business for you. Nothing personal. If you want that, you can go do that one yourself. I'm not in that. So that side of it, and I'm going to open this panel up in a second. That side of it is just me doing the math. So two things there. Your phase one that you're already doing. 250 people into your business next year that are literally phoning leads all day long or making their own leads. And by then, we're only 3 weeks in. By then, we'll have this down to a fine art. And we will find other markets. It might be through life insurance brokers. It might be through some other type of insurance thing. It might be through real estate brokers. Who knows? But we will find 250 people that are willing to sit on the phone for 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, to make themselves an extra 10,000 a month residual income. They're out there. They're out there. There's lots of them. You know, when I look at the panel there, you know, and I hope you guys don't, right? So Jeanette, you're a stay-at-home mom. John, you have a full-time job, but it's 12 hours on 12, 4 days on, 4 days off. I think I've got that right. Mike, you play football with your kids in the park all day every day, so we don't really know what you do. Last I saw you were wearing makeup walking around Manchester about an hour ago. What's that all about, man? And Clarissa, you're feeding, riding horses and taking care of things like that, and you're doing your artwork. So it's very different and diverse. We're only looking for 3 hours a day. 250 people is easy to hire at three hours a day. Everyone I've ever built a business around, before I'd have to say, give up your salary job, give up your position, come and work with me and have total faith that you're going to make some money on total commission only. And by the way, you're either going to have to come into an office and do it, or you're going to have to go and bang out on doors, do it. And you know what? Funnily enough, the only bad day to knock on doors, I've knocked on doors Christmas Day, Easter, Thanksgiving in the States and Canada. The only bad day to knock on doors is today. Why? Because people are getting their doors knocked on constantly, trick-or-treating, and after a while they just stop answering the doors. So that's been my experience. So just by chance, this is Halloween, for those of you watching this later. So that's where we're at. I'm just going to open this panel up a second, and who did I mute? I muted you, Jeanette, I believe. Let's unmute. No, can I unmute? I don't know if I can unmute.
Like that?
Oh, there you go. So you're unmuted. John, can you unmute yourself? Mike, Clarissa.
Let me see.
I know you're driving, Clarissa. So if you can't, that's okay. So, Mike, I'm going to start with you. Let's go as usual. Talk to me.
I am driving. So.
All right, as long as you can hear, it's no problem. I don't want to.
Yeah, I won't talk much.
I don't want you to get excited behind the wheel.
I'm always excited behind the wheel.
Don't go there.
Let's not go there. Okay, Mike, talk to me. Bail me out of this, man. So, Mike, you have. Hang on, let me flick you on the screen there so I can see you. You have been through a similar situation before. So you in Manchester in what year was that? It was the late '96, I want to say, somewhere around there.
Yeah, 96. Yeah.
So you answered a random ad in the paper.
Yeah.
Yep. And I'm guessing it didn't really tell you anything. It was probably very generic. And I'm also guessing that when you called, you probably got no information at all.
Yeah.
Just come on in for an interview. So what we do, and how life is, and Darren and I were on a call today that I thought went phenomenal, talking about when, you know, if someone is selling or if someone is recruiting, it's about piquing people's curiosity. Not giving too much information, but giving enough to go, and I did it myself, you know, someone said, I've got you this interview with this guy, Timmy, and what's it about? Yeah, I can't really explain, but it's good, and he pays on time, and I'm making good money. Okay. And I drive an hour and a half and all this stuff to go for a random interview. That's how I got involved. So you started, and I don't know what sort of figures they gave you when you started in terms of what your expected earnings would be. Can you remember back then?
No, it probably would have been, 500 to £1,000 per week. Which,
Yeah,
at the
for
time,
some reason I've got a figure of 400 in my mind, which is why I think I used to advertise over in the UK. But yeah, in the 100. So what was your best week? I know we've done this before. What was your best week?
12,480 pounds or something.
Pounds.
12.5 grand pounds, yeah.
£12,500 a week, which is about $20,000, give or take. And how old were you when you were earning that sort of money?
That was 19.
19. And you weren't top in the office, were you?
No, someone beat me the same week.
Okay. So, if you'd have come in for an interview and someone would have said, who interviewed you? Can you remember? Was it Tammy or...
Interviewed me. I think it was Tammy and then Kelly.
Tammy and Kelly, okay. I was talking with Tammy the other day, actually. It's good that the people you've known 20 plus years that you've worked with you're still friends with, and they still remember some of the stupid stunts you did when you were 20 years old that I'd forgotten about. But anyway, we're not going there. So
yeah, I spoke to Kelly and Tammy on the phone a few months back, and it was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
They remember me, and I was like, oh, I'd blocked them out of my mind.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about all these things, and I'm not talking about it on here.
Oh boy.
So if Tammy said to you, so this is the deal, Mike. What we're going to do is we're going to train you how to do this, how to knock on doors, and then once you know how to do that, we're going to recruit people and show you how to train people. And then when you train people, you'll make a couple of dollars off everything they do. And in a few months from now, you're going to be making £12,500 or $20,000 a week. If someone would have said that to you, my guess is you wouldn't have gone back even for the training because you'd have thought it was just total BS.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. That's normal. Because when I started my first sort of sales job, the target was $1,000 a week. And this is one challenge we have as human beings. And this is why I've labeled this 1.5 million a month. Okay, it's not to scare people off, but it's to get people out of that zone and say, you know what? This could be total BS, but I can watch this quietly and judge for myself. I don't have to sit in an office and go for an interview. But what this does is it opens things up. This is why I'm glad you're on the call. So you're someone that's been through it. So that is, if that was consistent in the US, that's $1 million a year at 19 years old. $20,000 a week's $1 million a year. So you're on this call. And I think I was chatting about you with Darren today about your perception of money is probably different than a lot of people's because you've earned that sort of money almost by default, the same way as I did. When I went from like zero to $28,739 a week. If Tim would have told me, listen, in 2 months you're going to be earning almost $30,000 a week, I wouldn't have even gotten back onto a plane to go to Canada again. I would just told the guy to just drink less, stop taking shrooms, man, and I get there, and I wasn't looking at yeah, it's recorded this, isn't it? I just realized, never mind, but I by default, my fuel, my fire was just numbers. Tim told me 2,000 clients a week, you'll get out your office, doesn't matter where it is. And I said, well, that seems an awful lot. Who's doing that? Well, this guy is doing it in Toronto. He's getting 2,500. Incidentally, that guy has his own Citation private jet and pilots it himself. He retired at 40. So that was that guy. These guys in Montreal, these guys are doing about 2,800 a week, and one of them now has a property portfolio all over the world, and the other one, actually they both do now, and they're both running their own businesses, and all these guys are either 7 or 8 figure earners. So when I saw that and the numbers, and I sat with them, and I said, all right, I'm just like right off the plane. Okay, guys, give me 8 weeks, I'll beat you guys. And they started laughing at me. I didn't do it for the money. I did it that's the target. I didn't even add. I never even opened my own paychecks. My receptionist, that's kind of belittling her, because she almost turned into a personal assistant as well. She used to just take them to the bank, and we used to get paid. If the check was more than $4,000, it had to have 2 signatures on. So I generally would just ask her, how many checks did I get this week? So it went from 1 check to 2 checks, and it was whatever it was. It was like 8 checks one week, or 9 checks the other week. 9 checks, I think it was. No, 9. Oh, that's good. And it still didn't equate to me. And then I'm thinking, oh, well, this is good. This is good. And then one of the guys said, you're earning like a couple of million a year here, don't you? I never really looked at it like that. Oh, that's pretty good. And but I looked at the numbers. So again, we're breaking this down, looking at the numbers. Mike, you've been through this. How big was your team? I know you were limited by the size of a vehicle back then, but how big was your team at the most?
That maxed out at 12, 15.
Based on the size of the vehicle?
Yeah, that was like two vehicles then, so it was me and a side manager.
Okay.
So, yeah,
so 2 of those Nissan people carriers.
Then.
Okay.
Yeah, Nissan Serena.
Yeah, those got well beaten.
God dang.
A fleet of brand new vehicles destroyed in about 6 months. That was that was good. So you were earning. I'm just going to talk in dollars for now. It's £12,500, $20,000 off 12 to 15 people per week. If that would have been the same every week. So if we can double that number to 40,000 a week on that deal, and that builds all the time, you obviously have the belief that there's something doable here. So I'm going to go back over the numbers with you, because you've seen how an office works. Clarissa, I know you're listening to this, and I know you've seen the same, but you're driving, so I'm trying not to get you involved in this. Nothing personal. You have seen an office in Manchester have 40 people in, yeah? Fairly quick. Yeah. So for me to ask you this, do you think it's possible to recruit 20 people in a state?
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I've not got a breakdown of the states, but New York City is 14 million people, give or take. New York State is probably more than double that. Jersey is probably the same. I mean, there's 400 million people, give or take, in the country. So even if there's 100 people in doing what you're doing, you're building your team or whatever the case may be, and I'm looking to build a team of 100 people to work with. So what's in it for me? Well, once you getting your overrides off your team, I'm not getting those. Okay, which I'm going to come to that. Someone asked me this last week. What's in that for me? I'll explain this in a second. So 20 people per state, there's 50 states, and once we get this running like a well-oiled machine, which the phase 1 is starting to go that way now. The leads are coming, the leads are turning into quality leads. The guys are on them, chasing them up. They're closing the deals. There's contracts out, and all of a sudden you've always got this funnel of stuff that's going on. There's always something in that pipeline. Whether it's a contract went out to someone last week and it's being followed up on, another one got done. You got someone else you're contacting, and once it's like a 3-week thing. Once the first 3 weeks go and you get to that momentum, then we start to move. So you're confident you can get 20 people per state with the right sort of ads, no doubt, with my help.
Yeah, and
there's 50.
This was before I've been looking at this myself. Actually, I wanted to learn the product, what we've been doing in the last 3 weeks. Get out there, sell it myself, which is what I've been doing. And it's like, okay, now I know what to do and what not to do. But I'm now ready now to go and train other people. And this was always my plan, was to learn it, then go and train other people. Well, this was then before your offer of help, which I know I've seen you in rooms, and people, stand up now if you want to leave. No one stands up.
Yeah, that one I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you don't like it, get out.
If I can get bums on seats,
Yep.
and we're going to, close them, yeah, 20 a state is going to be easier.
Well, it's like now where you're just literally qualifying a lead or qualifying an appointment and handing it over to somebody else. So it's the same kind of principle. You guys fill the rooms out, and there's no upper limit. If you got me 20 guys in a room, or there's 100 people and you got me 10,000 guys in a room, it doesn't matter to me. I'll just make this fit. It might be a case of, right, you've got to take your laptop with you, and I'll get them to join in the room. And again, there'll be a little bit of a learning curve, but the more people that's in the room, the easier actually I find it. So we can definitely do that number. Now we're in a business where again we're not for legal reasons, we're not naming the company in case I say something that's I have a tendency to say whatever's on my mind sometimes. So we're not naming the company. However, do you think it's possible for somebody out there in the field to, the product, the service, the feedback, to find 25 employees per week through a business? Could be one company with 25.
Yeah, again, from knowing nothing about American companies and American and benefits, what I've learned over the past 3 weeks, it's almost, especially speaking to other agents in other companies, it's like, I'm not going to say it's like taking candy from a baby, but when we talk about a unique product that you'd be daft, unless you've already got it, and if you've already got it, you probably paid a lot more for it, right? There's nothing else out there like it.
Here's something that we tripped across, and again, just came out yesterday. So, when you're talking to a business, when we're talking specifically about this phase 2, when I've been doing a bit of test marketing with this, I actually speak to the people there, and I was really surprised the amount of people that don't have any medical health insurance at all. They're in the jobs, they're looking happy, they're full-time permanent jobs, and it started the other week when some guy was off sick and he had to go to the doctor. Well, you guys have got insurance. No. What? You don't? No. What about dentists? No. Okay, so let me ask you this. If you can get discount at the dentist for your family and a 24-hour online doctor, would that help you? Would you be interested in that? Yeah, sure. How much is it? Well, it depends. You might be able to get the company to pay for it. And do you think anyone else that works here would be interested? Duh. Yeah, everyone. All right. What's the boss's name? Okay, where is he? Right now. So even though we're not ready to go with this, I'm kind of lining these things up and stacking them up. So what you were talking about there is training. You're getting this great experience there working with, as you just said, working with the agents and the brokers over the phone. So that side of it, you've actually got more experience out than me in this industry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to learn the other side of the business. So all these people, like you say, bums on seats per state, those that are in, I'm going to spend a little time training them based on my experience. So I'm going to go out, go get some clients, so I know what I'm doing. So I'll train the guys to do that. I'm not going out, on the road with them because I'm bums on seats in the next town, bums on seats in the next town, and it really is a no-brainer. And like anything else, I'll get a bunch of stuff done online, and they can watch it and train it that way. So to recruit, if I'm asking you a question, I'm utilizing you as Mike because you've got something to go on. Do you think it's possible, because we've not even started an ad campaign with this yet, do you think it's possible to recruit 250 part-time people to be on the phones?
Yeah, you see, you hear of adverts now, in Manchester, then, for Christmas now, there's jobs going at the post office, and there's something like, instead of 1,000 jobs, and there's like 5,000 people applied for it.
Oh, the seasonal mail thing.
Yeah. And this is to, okay, to sort letters at night time. So you hear it all the time. I remember it was a while back. Someone was at a job fair, and there was like, so there was 40 companies at this job fair, and there was something like 4,000 people had come through the doors that day for potentially a couple hundred jobs.
Yeah, I mean, we used to. I know Clarissa is on the call, and she might not realize it. When we did when we put an ad on Craigslist, or there's another one, I can't remember what it is, Monster Jobs or something like that. We would get, I think our busiest day, we got 36,000 resumes sent in on a day, CVs. 36,000 off 2 ads. Like whoever it was starting to print them. I said, "What? Are you nuts? Why are you going? What do you want to print them for? Well, to go through them. You know what? What have you printed so far?" So they gave us a hand. I just put them straight through the shredder. Forget about it. I'm not going through that lot. Let's do something else. That's just too much response. So, you know, we used to do stuff like this. So I know the response. I mean, granted, it was Wall Street-based business, no experience required, so there was a bit of a hook on that. But to get 250 people part-time, you know, you could target stay-at-home moms. You could target, you know, do you have 3 hours a day? You could do whatever you want to do, or, you know, work nights, want some work in the day, or someone like John, where it's 4 days on, 4 days off. So, yeah, I'd say definitely on that too. So the figures add up for you, Mike, yeah?
So just saying, in the last job, we run an ad campaign for self-employed vets selling our balers that we sold. And within, it's probably about 3 weeks we run it for, and we had about 400 applicants around the UK.
Was that a newspaper ad?
No, just an online ad.
Okay.
You know, so that's what it's done now. Everything, you know, you don't pick up a newspaper now and look for a job. You go online. So
yeah. Well, the newspaper thing is kind of dying the death, and it's expensive. I remember I took over. I won't name the company, but it was the world's biggest energy company, and I took over the corporate acquisitions, commercial corporate acquisitions. What that means is signing up companies, businesses for commercial gas and electricity. And the guy that was running it, what he used to do, he'd put an ad in the paper, and if someone answered the ad, he would take all the training stuff and he would drive 2, 3 hours, 10 hours, sometimes stay overnight, interview someone at their own home. If they were suitable, he'd train them the next day and start them. And I'm looking at this. I've started this business saying, are you nuts, John? Why are you doing that? We need people in all these different areas. I said, okay, I get that. Why don't we put an ad in the paper and get all these people to come into Manchester for an interview, and then, if they're suitable, start them. And he went, they won't do that. I said, I'm telling you now, they'll do that. We put an ad in the, I think it was the Mail on Sunday, it was something like that, a national ad, and there's something called, there's various books on this, I can't remember who wrote them, Guerrilla Marketing, Guerrilla Recruiting, they're great series, and I followed this recruiting program to an absolute T. And we had the same thing, we had about 5,000 calls, we got about 4,000, back then it was all fax, 4,000 resumes, CVs faxed in, and there was a basic specific thing that I sent out, and if they'd responded within 24 hours, we'd book them in for an appointment and say, you've got to come to Manchester, it's on your own dime, So out of 200, I think 40 showed up. One guy drove from Devon to Manchester, it's like 8.5 hours drive, but he'd been looking for work for 10 years or something ridiculous. So he came and we said, yep, you know what, if you've driven that far, and he said, just, you know, I'm 55, whatever he was, I can't get a job. And I said, listen, if you've driven that far for a job, I don't need to interview you. You've already shown me you've got what it takes. And basically what I'll do is I'll get a telephone guy to focus on your area for you. And some of these guys were with us for years. So it's definitely doable, even more so now. Even more so. So the numbers I'm talking, they're adding up to you, yeah?
Yes.
Right.
No, I see the number before, and I thought, is this Tony on one of his crazy ideas? You know, and I worked it backwards, and I thought, no, that's not even, you know, that's not even what you're probably thinking. Actually, what I know you'll be thinking of. This number is like, yeah.
I've lowballed everything. The only thing I've not played with is the amount of states, but everything else I've lowballed. Incidentally, the way the new program is working out, that someone gets one business, and this is where I'm getting this figure from, someone gets 25 employees per week on board. So one of these guys, these on the sidewalk guys, gets 25 employees per week on board. they will take, I think the figure we worked out is 75,000 a year. So where I've got this figure from is, what I know about commercial guys is the ones I've worked with always target that sort of you know, the great ones will get, you know, a lot more than that, like anything else. But the reasonable guys will always average somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 a week, consistently. So I've sort of parked it right in the middle, saying, you know, you've got a whole bunch of guys. That's generally what their earnings are, whether it was in the energy business or telecoms or whatever else it is. So I've kind of worked it from that, like you say, working it backwards. Reality is, you know, that's nothing. I mean, the supermarket here's got 150 employees, just the one on my block. This, you know, it's nothing at all. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go backwards with this because I'm also mindful of the time. So if you guys can mute yourselves again, because I looked at one of my, Jeanette, I'll mute you. You got it? Oh, you got it, John?
Just a sec.
Come on, Mr. Research Tech Genius. I can find anything on the internet apart from my mute button. Okay, we're good. So what I want to go here is, I just want to go backwards. So, you know, I utilize Mike because Mike's probably, well, certainly financially off the panel. This is no slur on anyone. Mike's the guy that's been through it more than anyone else with the numbers. So this is not just me making numbers up. And I know what Mike's thinking that I'm thinking. Okay. So the numbers stack up according to Mike, who's worked with me in the past. So it's not just my numbers. What I want to talk about now is the actual how this process is done. And again, Mike just hit something, the nail right on the head there. Is, for me, I had a lady today call from, I think she's from Jamaica. She works with us anyway. And she was struggling to learn the basic process of how to connect agents. And then you've got Mike on there that says, oh yeah, this stuff's easy, only because he's sat on the phone and done it for 3 hours a day for 3 weeks. And it's just a numbers process until you get better at it, and then the numbers get better. You know, I started knocking on doors. I was told, you knock on 100 doors to get in a house, you'll get 3 presentations on, and one of them will buy. I actually went, I think it was 49 before anyone bought anything off me. However, that was 300 doors I had to knock on per sale. These are the figures I was given. 8 months later, if I wanted 3 sales, I'd knock on 5 doors. Because when we get better at what we're doing, the numbers alter dramatically. So I know you guys are going through a process, a learning curve process, which is quite normal in anything, and I've been through it before in various things as well. So you know, when I got in the long distance industry, which is where I was pulling a couple of million a year, 8 hours the first day to get 1 client, which was unheard of, and Tim literally freaked out at me, and I said, no, I set out to get a client. I didn't set out today on my first day to get 100 clients. That's never been done. I set out to get 1 and learn it. And the next day he said, we'll get 10 tomorrow. I said, no, tomorrow I'll get 2. Just leave me alone. Next day 2, next day 4, next day might have been 10. I remember the 5th day, it was a Saturday morning, and it was at a 30, I'm sure it was 31. It was either 31 or 32. The company record was about 16 in an 8-hour shift. I got 31 between 10 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon, 3 hours, and ran out. I never expected to do that. I ran out of paperwork. I went in on the Monday and said, okay, I'm good. I know what I'm doing. Got to build a business. So the next process I had was I had to build a business from scratch, from zero. I went to Hamilton, Ontario, didn't know a single person, put an ad in the paper. And again, Mike, I'm going to bounce to you there. You can stay on mute, but you're saying about, you know, seasonal work for Christmas. When there's not much work, all of a sudden you're inundated. We put an ad in the paper. I had a single line phone, just a phone, not a phone network, a phone. I went to the office. I thought, I'll show up early at 6 in the morning, get some work done, and as soon as I get there, the phone's ringing. I'm outside. I think I better rush in and grab the phone. I answer the phone. Yeah, we're calling about the job. The paper's out already. Yeah, I can't tell you much about it right now. You got a pen and paper there? Okay, you're looking for full-time? You're looking for full-time? You're available immediately? Okay, write the address down. What's the job about? Listen, I'm going to be booked up solid. Come on in, because if you're ringing already, I'm guaranteeing you there's someone else right after you. This is 6 in the morning. Okay, I've given the address. My name's Tony. Okay, see you soon. As soon as I put the phone down, ring, 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 ring. 6 in the morning, midnight, I pulled the plug out the wall. Didn't get a break all day. And it was in a city with an employment issue, an old steel town where the mills had shut. And people will try different things when that happens. When there's recessions, 600 people get laid off from a company and they're all doing the same job. Guess what? They're all looking for the same job the next day in the same area, and 600 people are looking for something that doesn't exist. So after a few months, or the smart ones will expand the horizon straight away. So, the economy is, I don't know, the job situation's rocky, and that's just a given. And part of that is technology is changing so fast and quick that a lot of jobs are actually becoming defunct. So the market is there, and the market was there when I was in Hamilton. So I went there, I answered the phone, booked people in. The next day, people were queuing up out the door to literally sign themselves in. I think I had about 40 chairs. Maybe that's why they always max out at 40, I don't know. I think I had about 40 chairs. There must have been 300 people queuing up to get in. And the phone's still going. I haven't a clue what I'm doing. But all was in my mind is, these guys laughed at me last week when I told them I was going to beat them, so I got to get this thing going. So what I did, I remember shouting out, has anyone got any reception experience here? One girl just went, yeah, I have. Okay, answer the phone. Just book them in for tomorrow. What's your name? Trish. All right, Trish. We'll sort the money out at the end of the day. Whatever the average is, we'll pay you a bit more than that. Okay, and if you don't like it, you'll still get paid for today. She went, oh, okay, thanks. That was it. And Trish was with me for a few years. Wonderful. Just the way it worked. Just the way it worked. She was the one that put her hand up and stood forward. So we did that. Booked these people in. The next Monday, they're in for training. I'm doing the training. So I'm there with the time I used to wear suits back then. I'm doing the training. First training I'm done. I haven't really, don't really know what I'm doing. I'm kind of winging it and this, that, and the other. And then the next day, they said, who's training us? Is someone going to go out with us? I said, yeah. The best guy in the company is going to go out with you. She knows. I have an air conditioning unit right in the window here, and it blows dust or something. So every time I get talking on these, I'm always like, what the hell is this? So on the Monday, I do the training. The Tuesday, they come back in. I do about another hour with them, just seeing if they, it's like a little testing, see if they manage to get everything down. And they said, where's this guy? Where's this guy? Where's this guy? I said, I'll go and get him. I went in my office, got changed like Superman. So I was changed from the suit to the company polo shirt and a pair of shorts and a pair of hiking boots. I said, okay, let's go. And he went, you're training us? Yeah. I thought the best guy in the company's training us. I said, I hold the record. Oh, okay, let's go. I took 40-something people, I've told this before, to one door and knocked on the door. They were all over the sidewalk, all over, up the stairs, all over the place, just people, like they were going to swarm the house. This woman opened the door. She opened the door and went like, whoa. I said, no, it's good. I showed my ID, Tony from XYZ. This is my training class here. Say hello, guys. And everyone in sync went, we'd already practiced this. Everyone in sync went, hello. Woman started laughing, explained what we did. Yeah, go grab your bill. Yeah, that's great. Just give me an okay there. Done. Thanks. Okay. Thank you very much for your time. I turned around in front of everyone. I said, do you see how it's done now? Yeah. Okay, here's your challenge. I can't remember if the figure was 4 or 8. I said the best 4 or 8 people between now and next Monday, I'm going to promote to management. Doesn't matter if you're black, white, old, young, couldn't care less, male, female, doesn't matter. I'm going to move you up. Okay, who's up for that? Half the people put their hands up, it's never everyone. And I said, okay, right, you've all got maps, and what I'm going to do for the rest of the day and for tomorrow and the day after is I'm going to bounce between you and help you all out a little bit. There's 40 of you, so be patient. And I'm going to do the best I can do right now to work with you. And out of the 40, a week later, there was probably 20 people left, which was fine. And out of the 20 people, I think I moved 4 up or 6 up. I can't remember the exact figure. And then I said the same thing. We did the same, but we used to recruit every single week, all in one little town. And the same thing again, and the same thing again, and again, and again, and again, and again. And this was growing and growing and growing. Then all of a sudden, there was offices in other towns that needed opening up. So because my company was my base, my office was doing better than anyone else, I all of a sudden became the best guy to train someone to run another office. So when someone said, I've got an office in an area that needs opening up, yeah, I've got a guy. Even if I didn't have a guy, I've got a guy. Who's the guy? Well, I've got a few guys. Where's the office? All right, I'll get the best guy for you. Next day I said, listen, which one of you guys wants to run an office? What's the deal? Well, instead of just making money off a team of 8, 10 people, you make money off the whole office. So I'll do the math for you. 2,000 deals a week pays you, whatever it was, 15,000, 20,000 a week. I can't remember. I went, yeah. What if I don't do 20,000? Well, you make less. Big deal. Okay, I'm in. Right, you got to relocate. 8 hours there. You good for that? Yep. Right. Okay. And I'll help you out. I'll come up once a week, and I'm always on the phone if you need me. Next. So at one point, I had these like satellite offices bounced all over. Some of them were literally based out of hotel rooms. But as a result of that, the most money I ever made was getting paid the least per deal. Because as these things thin out, and Mike, you mentioned had like a assistant or a sub-manager or something. If you're getting £5 per deal, then you've got to split half of that with some guy. That's fine, but it's the same with this. We're working on $1 here, $1. Now, to do that, and the lesson in that story is there's no point trying to recruit until you know what you're doing. So Mike hit a very key point there. He spent 3 weeks getting it down, and now he's comfortable enough to explain to somebody else. Because here's the challenge I've got, and I'm already doing this. When people call me, you guys, it's fine, because I'm responsible for you guys, but you bring someone in the business, and all of a sudden, if you're not up to speed on training, guess who they're going to come to? So if every single one of you put 5 people in the business, okay, so Mike's up to speed, Mike's okay with the training. I know John has some tools as well that he uses for certain things. So I just farm these guys back to you when they ask me information. How do I do a Google search on, how do I find people in my own area? You know what, speak to John Zuniga, he knows how to do that stuff, I don't know. Okay, well, I've got this thing on the phone, I'll speak to Mike. Mike's much better at this than me. In reality, you actually made more calls. So this is the point now where I'm trying to not micromanage this. I'm trying to work my area to help you guys. What I'm looking at here is when you guys are getting your $1 per employee, per month, per rep, and all, I'm not getting anything off that. However, that doesn't matter. Okay, my task is I'm going to start 100 people this year. Okay, and out of those 100 people, I expect every one of them to trip over about 5 clients. That's fine. That's more than plenty. Okay, and next year I'll trip across a bunch more. I'll probably recruit 250 people next year. And to learn how to train, we've got to learn how to do. I could never, ever, ever, ever have built a successful business and a couple of million a year had I not rolled my sleeves up for 1 week and learned how to knock on doors in that particular industry. We're not doing that. Well, actually, we've got guys that we're going to recruit for that anyway. And then what I had to do then is I had to learn how to do I think you used to call them orientation, a recruiting session, standing up in front of a class. Then I had to learn how to do interviews. So literally, I watched 2 recruiting sessions, took some notes down, okay, got it. Sat in on about half a dozen interviews, took some notes down, okay, got it. I know, Jeanette, you're an avid note taker. I saw the post today, 9 pieces of paper for a half-hour conversation with Darren and I. And that happens. So basically, I learned this stuff, and then as we get, as we learn all this stuff and our own personality, our own teachings, and our own, what I've got is what I've got, okay? What Mike and I have got together is more powerful than what either of us has got alone. What Mike, I, John, Jeanette, and Clarissa have got together is more powerful than any 2 of us together. So between us, we all find our strengths and we all raise each other up. And that's how you build a massive sales organization. I'm telling you right now, okay? I fully expect, at the moment, I'm putting 1 person a day on as senior sales associate, I believe it's called, where you can actually recruit and make money off your recruiting. So I'm doing that right now, and I'm still in that 3-week cycle like you guys. I'm spending the rest of this year focusing on that, because by the time you guys are ready to go, Say, right, you know what? I've worked the phones for 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I've got that down. I've already got some deals closed. I want to start recruiting properly now. I will have it A, B, C, D. Okay, this is how I bring 2 people per day onto my team. This is exactly what I do. So I've done 3 weeks again to get the ball rolling, and all of a sudden this week it's, you know, one after another, after another, after another, just like a, literally, it's like there's people in the pipeline right now that just can't, they've seen a video, or they've been on a recorded, one of these things that Darren and I do, the phone call ones, or whatever it may be. So we've got a process down now, and it's becoming a mechanical process. I spoke with Darren earlier. I said, this is how it works. Someone does this, I send them that, they do this, and boom, they just get started. And that's how and all 5 people have done exactly the same thing, exactly the same process. So we're getting that process down. Then you can say to me, right, I've got this situation. So this lady that contacted me today said she wants to build a team. I said, the challenge you've got building a team is when you don't know what you're doing, who's going to train your team? Because it's not me, okay? I don't mean to be rude, but I literally, if everyone wanted me to train their teams to make phone calls, we wouldn't build this business, because that's me micromanaging and spread too thin. So I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses, most of them, and I also know where I can be most effective time-wise for all of us, not for me. You know, you build it and they will come. And the one thing I do love about the business we've got going on at the moment is the absolute transparency of it. Meaning, someone reached out to me last week on Facebook, just sent me a friend request. And what I generally do with friend requests is there's usually a pattern. Let's say it's friends with so-and-so. So the so-and-so, he was, in fact, I'll use names. It was a guy called David out of Wichita, Kansas. He was friends with a lady called Tony. I spoke with Tony a few days earlier. She'd been on one of the recorded calls. She was one of the people that called me, along with Clarissa and Beth. Straight after the call, there was 3 people contacting me. Clarissa, Beth, and Tony, within 2 minutes. All 3 of them are in the business. Now, everyone joined up. But before Tony joined up, I got this message from this guy, David. And I looked, and I just sent Tony a message saying, "What? Do you know this guy, David? Is he a friend of yours?" And he said, "Well, yeah, why?" I said, "Well, he just sent me a friend request, and I've got a strange feeling he's watching the business." And she said, "Well, you know, I mentioned something to him. I think he was on one of the calls." I said, "Okay." I said, "You know, he's your guy. He's not my guy. So it's up to you whether you get started in a position in the business with us or not. If you do, he becomes your guy when he joins. If not, I'll look after him. But you've got first option. He's your guy." And she said, "Why would you do that?" I said, "Because it's the right thing to do. There's so much in this. There's no need when we're recruiting. There's going to be overlaps and trips over and things, and someone might have answered 5 different Craigslist ads, and it's 5 different people, and we'll just, you know, it'll figure itself out." That's the way I look at it. It's a raising tide raises all ships. So there's so much involved with this that okay, you get your dollar on those guys, and I'm not. It doesn't matter, because it will just all level itself out. That makes sense to you guys? So I'm going to wrap this up. I thank you for your input. And just over the hour, so that's about right. I thank you so much for your input. I know Mike and John, you guys are at 11 o'clock at night. Mike, what time's the last orders in the pubs there? What time do the pubs close, Mike? Oh, he's probably gone to one already. Okay. Maybe I've covered. Well, yeah, what time do the pubs close over there?
I said, depends what pub you go to.
Okay, yeah, all right, that's all we need to know. No, I didn't want to keep you guys away from your Friday night tipple. All right, guys, thanks so much for listening, and thanks to all of you that are on this live link. There's a whole bunch of you watching on YouTube and all kinds of stuff going on here. So thanks very much from the Real Tony Cohen here in New York City. Have yourselves a fantastic weekend. It's Halloween. Go give some candies away and stop scaring the kids. See you soon, guys. Bye.